All right, welcome once again to my channel, everybody. I'm happy to know that you are there. Your presence gives me joy every time, and I'm happy to bring you a very interesting topic today. I call it matrices. Now the question is, what is a matrix? What is a matrix? Now, before I go on, let me enjoin you to quickly hit the red subscribe button to this channel. If you are new, don't forget your subscription is an encouragement onto this little effort we are making. We go on to the video. What is a matrix? When you have we call it a rectangular arrangement of numbers into rows and columns. So basically, the most basic definition, a matrix is a rectangular arrangement of numbers into rows and columns. Now, basically, there are some key things I need you to understand about matrices. That the first thing we call elements. The elements of a matrix are individual items in the matrix. Individual items in the matrix, that is called an element, or we call it matrix entry, or we call it matrix entries. So those are the elements of a matrix. So these elements are usually addressed by their position. Elements are addressed by their positions in the matrix. And that means that is the row and column they belong to. So because we know that matrices are in rows and columns, we say the dimensions of a matrix is the number of row, M, and column, which is n of the matrix. So for example, we can have an m by n matrix. An m by n matrix. So I'll give you examples. So for example, if a matrix has one row and one column, 1 by 1 matrix, it means it is just a matrix that has only one row and one column, a single entry matrix. So it has only one element. Now this is what we refer to element of the matrix. Element of the matrix. So if it has only one element, it is a 1 by 1 matrix. Just one element. It is possible for a matrix to have two rows by one column. So we call it a 2 by 1 matrix. A 2 by 1 matrix. So it has two elements, two rows, A11 and A21. Notice there is a subscript that I'm using as an address for the element. So for example, this element of the matrix is in first row, first column, first column, while this is in the second row and first column. So that is how we identify elements in a matrix. It is also possible for a matrix to be 1 by 2. And this type of matrix has only one row but has two columns. So I have just one row, A11 and A12. So I have column 1 and column 2, but I have just only one row, which is row 1. So that is a 1 by 1 column. All right, join me in the second part of this video, and we'll look at matrix in more details. Yes, in the part 1 of this video, the matrix video, remember we were looking at the different dimensions of matrices, and we have seen that a 1 by 1 matrix only have a single element, which is in the first row and in the first column. A 2 by 1 matrix has two columns, two rows and one column, while a 1 by 2 has just one row and two columns. Furthermore, a matrix could be 2 by 2 in dimension, and that kind of matrix will have two rows and two columns. Two rows and two columns. So we have the first element in that matrix is in the first row, first column. The second element is in the first row, second column. The third element is in the second row, first column, and the last element is in the second row, second column. So this is a square matrix. A square matrix. It's a square matrix, and it is so because it has equal number of rows and columns. Unlike this previous matrices, the 2x1 matrix, any matrix that has a single column is a column vector, while any matrix that has a single row is a row vector matrix. So we call this one row vector, and we call this one a column vector. So unlike this other one that has equal number of rows and columns, it is called a square matrix. So and lastly, a matrix can also be 3 by 2. And if you join me in drawing that, we know it has 3 rows and 2 columns. So we have A11, A12, A21, A22, and A31, A32. So also in the same vein, we have a 2 by 3 matrix that has just 2 columns and 2 rows and 3 columns. We have A11, A12, A13. We have A21, A22, and A23. So these are the various dimensions of matrices. And then I will want you to try to draw matrices, elements with their elements for a 3 by 3 matrix, a 4 by 3 matrix, a 3 by 4 matrix, and then a 4 by 4 matrix. So try and draw each of these on your own to see what kind of matrix we have, and identify which ones of them amongst them is a square matrix. So much to say about matrices. I think we have learned that a matrix is a rectangular arrangement of numbers into rows and columns. Every entry into a matrix is known as an element, and elements are addressed by their position in terms of the rows and columns which they occupied. For example, this element, for example, is in the first row, first column. This element is in the first row, second column. This element here is in the second row, second column. So that is what we mean by elements being addressed by their position in the matrix. The dimension of a matrix is determined by the number of columns and the number of rows it has. For example, we have a 1 by 1 matrix, we have a 2 by 1 matrix, we have a 1 by 2 matrix, a matrix that has just 1 row and 2 columns. And then of course we have 2 by 2 matrix, which is a square matrix. It has 2 rows and 2 columns. A 3 by 2, it has 3 rows and 2 columns. And of course I've asked you to try and draw these. So thank you very much for watching this video. In the next video, we'll be looking at addition of matrices, and that video is displaying in the top of this screen right now. Thank you. So make sure you click and watch, drop a comment, and like this video, share this video for others to benefit, and make sure that anything you do not abandon us. God bless you.